Hello and welcome. You're watching UTV live at 6.
Good evening. These are the stories making the headlines.
Protesting outside and angry exchanges inside. The Education Minister is defiant in the face of criticism about his recent trip to Israel.
Why can't this minister accept the truth rather than continue to peddle the propaganda of a genocidal regime?
Not here to be held to account by a convicted terrorist who supports terrorists and Hamas.
A man is found dead in Portavogie. Police begin a murder investigation.
And Hollywood film star Lucy Liu picks up a prestigious award at the Belfast Film Festival.
Also tonight, he's golf's young gun. Tom McKibben wins the Hong Kong Open and secures a place at the Masters.
And a mild, breezy week of weather ahead, but I'll have all the details coming up later in the programme.
The Education Minister, Paul Givan, has been defiant in defending his recent trip to Israel in the face of growing criticism. Minister Givan says his actions and those of his officials have been given a clean bill of health following a review by the most senior civil servant in his department.
The Minister will face a people before profit vote of no confidence in the Assembly on the controversy. It's supported by Sinn Féin, Alliance and the SDLP. The DUP leader insists Paul Givan is going nowhere and says other parties are engaged in pantomime politics. We'll be hearing from the Minister in a moment, but first our political correspondent Vicky Hawthorne reports on the day's events.
Minister Givan, step aside. We abhor genocide.
Criticism of Paul Givan's trip to Israel last week has not died down. A small group of pro-Palestinian protesters were at Stormont calling for the Education Minister to resign this morning. As the Assembly met, the debate over the Minister's decision to travel to Israel while it faces international criticism of its military offensive in Gaza intensified.
Why can't this minister accept the truth rather than continue to peddle the propaganda of a genocidal regime whose leaders are wanted on international arrest warrants for crimes against humanity?
I'm here to be held to account as Education Minister for the element of that trip that related to my portfolio as Education Minister. Not here to be held to account by a convicted terrorist who supports terrorists and Hamas. You're not going to hold me to account for that. I'll hold you to account for your terrorism.
The Education Minister faces a vote of no confidence in the Stormont Assembly, a motion brought by People Before Profit Jerry Carroll. While the vote won't happen before next week, it does have the support of Sinn Féin, Alliance and the SDLP. It was the opposition which brought an urgent question on the issue today.
You say today no public funds were used, but then who hit send on the public messaging? Did you instruct your departmental officials to use official channels to promote what was clearly a very political visit? And in doing so, Minister, bring not only yourself but your department into disrepute.
Paul Givan joined other unionists on the trip to Israel, which was funded by the Israeli embassy. However, it's the promotion of Mr Givan's visit to a school in Jerusalem on the Department for Education's social media and through a press release, which has raised further questions for the Minister. The Ofek school is located in the occupied territory in Jerusalem. Other parties claim the Minister's visit there breached UK foreign policy. While legally ministers should be accompanied on official visits by department officials, no officials travelled with the Minister.
Were you there in a party political capacity, in which case it would have been inappropriate for departmental resources to be used to promote your trip? Or were you there as a minister, in which case you've potentially breached the Functioning of Government Act by not having officials there at that engagement with you?
Ahead of the urgent question, the Sinn Féin president made her views clear on the controversy surrounding the Education Minister.
No minister in any government should be party to a propaganda effort on behalf of Netanyahu's genocidal regime and the Israeli effort to displace and to slaughter Palestinian men, women and children in their tens of thousands.
The DUP leader was at the forefront of a show of support for his minister.
It doesn't take a genius to see through the sectarianism and the anti-Semitism that lies at the heart of this politicking, this performative pantomime politics. It does nothing for society, and nor will we be distracted from it. As you know, Paul has my full confidence. He has the confidence of our party.
The vote of no confidence in Paul Givan may have gathered enough support to take place, but it doesn't matter the outcome. Paul Givan will remain Education Minister. The vote can't force him from office. Vicky Hawthorne, UTV Live, Stormont.
And earlier I spoke to the Education Minister for our political programme View from Stormont this evening, and I asked him what impact this row would have on party relations at Stormont.
It's a matter for other parties if they want to engage in this kind of pantomime. I think the public will look at that and say, just get on with dealing with the everyday issues, and I'm determined to do that. But what I will not be is put out of office at the demand of Sinn Féin and my political opponents. It is the Unionist electorate who voted for me. It's the DUP and my leader who put me into this position. Will not be dictated to by Republicans or indeed any other political party here in this Assembly.
That being the case, are you content that you and your officials followed the rules?
Yes, my Permanent Secretary has carried out a review of the processes in terms of my engagement when it came to the school visit, how the department had supported me on that. This wasn't an official education organised visit. It was organised and paid for by the Israeli Embassy in London. And having reviewed all of the circumstances, my Permanent Secretary has now cleared and give a clean bill of health when it comes to how the department and I engaged during this visit whenever my role as Education Minister was relevant.
So you were not accompanied, were you, on this ministerial trip by a civil servant? Is that what you're telling me?
No, that wasn't necessary because this visit was organised not by my department, but it was organised by the Israeli Embassy. And I was part of a wide delegation that included the Ulster Unionist Party, the TUV. We had the leader of the Welsh Conservative Party who also attended. And those arrangements were all made not by my department, but by the Israeli Embassy in London. So it wasn't necessary to have an official accompany me, which had they have, that would have cost taxpayers money. But it was unnecessary, and obviously it's a matter for the Permanent Secretary to review the processes. He has carried out a review and he has now given a clean bill of health whenever it comes to how the civil service provided me with support.
The lines do appear here to have been blurred, do they not? I mean, you're saying that it wasn't an official visit at one level, but at another level, your own department was putting out on social media that you were there.
Well, it's been blurred by those who take a very hostile anti-Israel approach. They're the people that are trying to throw up these questions, and that's a smokescreen for what, at the heart of this, when it comes to those who are opposed to me engaging in Israel, listening to the different views, is because they are against Israel. They're against the people of Israel. And a nation, the only Jewish nation in the world, who came out of the Holocaust, and we visited the Holocaust memorial, 6 million Jews that were murdered.
Was it appropriate for you to use the ministerial website to get this message across?
So the Northern Ireland Education Minister responsible for schools visits a school in Jerusalem, and the department puts out a statement which is non-political. It does not opine on anything to do with the Middle East conflict, and now we're saying that that was inappropriate. It was entirely appropriate.
Well, let's cross live now to Stormont, where we can join our political editor, Tracy McGee. Tracy, listening to that interview with Paul Givan, it's absolutely clear that he's totally unrepentant about his trip to Israel.
Well, that's right. Paul is a very bullish politician, no stranger to controversy. He thinks well on his feet, he's good in debates, but he also has the confidence of two things as far as he's concerned. His Permanent Secretary has said that he followed all the rules and, as he said, has given him a clean bill of health, but also very clearly he has the support of his leader, Gavin Robinson, who stood here earlier today and said that he is backing his minister, and the party itself. Speaking to people in the party today, they were very much in support of Paul Givan, and not in some sort of circle the wagons to protect their man way, but they genuinely believe that he has the right of it. So all of that has given him a confidence.
Nevertheless, feelings are running high in Stormont, as we saw in that debate.
Yeah, it was a very angry, very raucous debate. We haven't seen one just as bad as that in quite some time. At one point, Paul Givan was nearly coming over the table at the Sinn Féin benches, saying, given the fact that so many of you have terrorist convictions or have family members with terrorist convictions, you have the audacity now to lecture me on this trip. Cara Hunter from the SDLP accused the Minister of laughing like a Disney villain. It really was a very angry, very ugly debate.
Now, this vote of no confidence, it will reach the required 30 signatures. But of course, as Vicky was saying, it won't mean anything.
Yeah, and that's the point, Rose. This debate is going absolutely nowhere. As you say, there are the 30 signatures now that Sinn Féin has thrown its weight behind Jerry Carroll's motion of no confidence. It will probably be brought before the Assembly next week, maybe even the following week. But given the fact that the motion will be the subject of a cross-community vote, it means the numbers are simply not there to carry a motion of no confidence. This whole matter will be debated. We will probably see very angry exchanges again, but it will run into the sand.
Yes, relations will inevitably be soured, but briefly, will this lead to concerns about Stormont's future? Is it possible this could bring about a collapse even?
Well, look, given the fact that we've had 2 collapses in recent times, obviously there are concerns about the fragility of Stormont. I have to say, talking to people from both sides, both Sinn Féin and DUP, while they're clearly angry, I get no sense of crisis. The problem will be soured relations, as you say, and given the fact that we have a budget coming up, so many important decisions to be made on Casement Park, education, health, that probably will be the real danger, the real price of this debate.
Tracy McGee, thank you very much.
And coming up on View from Stormont, we'll have an extended interview with the Education Minister, as well as reaction from other parties about that trip. And we also have a special report on a new strategy by Belfast City Council after a series of violent attacks. So join us for View from Stormont tonight at 10:45 here on UTV.
The police have begun a murder investigation after a man was found dead in Portavogie. Jordan Webb, who was 28, was pronounced dead at an address in New Harbour Road this morning.
21-year-old man has been arrested. Jordan Moats reports.
Forensic teams spent the day at this terraced house in the seaside village. They're trying to piece together what happened here that led to Jordan Webb losing his life. The emergency services were called to the New Harbour Road area early this morning.
At around 8:15, I noticed 2 police cars with sirens going on whenever I was making my way in towards Bangor. That's very unusual. Portavogie is a very quiet, close-knit village. There's very little on this scale that ever happens. It's a very peaceful, great place to bring up a family. Very quickly, other residents were contacting me regarding a situation that had happened in the village, and unfortunately we understand that somebody has very sadly lost their life. Please give the families of everybody involved the privacy. Please keep them in their thoughts and their prayers, is what I've been telling people.
The 28-year-old was pronounced dead at the scene. Police say a 21-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of murder. Detectives investigating what happened in this rural village are keen to speak with anyone who was in the area between midday yesterday and 8 o'clock this morning. Jordan Moats, UTV Live, Portavogie.
The start of the trial of a man accused of murdering Natalie McNally has been delayed. At Belfast Crown Court, a barrister representing Stephen McCulloch said that new evidence was presented to the defence last week and that time was needed to consider it. McCulloch, who's 35 and from Woodland Gardens in Lisburn, denies murdering the 32-year-old who was 15 weeks pregnant when she was stabbed at her home in Lurgan in December of 2022. The trial was adjourned.
A man who admitted murdering another man after an attack in a park almost 5 years ago is to give evidence in the trial of 2 brothers also accused of the same killing. Brian McCook, who's 28, and Stephen McCook, who's 33, both from the Urban Road in Derbick, are jointly charged with murdering Stephen Peck in Ballymoney in 2021. Sitting alongside the brothers in the dock were their mother, Esther McCook, who's 51, and their sister, Lisa Gemmell, who's 34. They are charged with perverting the course of justice. The trial begins this week.
A court's been told that police who treated a woman after she was attacked with a machete in Dungannon at the weekend saved her life. The details were revealed as 43-year-old Martin Joseph Grugan of Gorchin Crescent in the town appeared at Enniskillen Magistrates Court accused of attempted murder. Officers who found the woman bleeding heavily on the living room floor of a property on Saturday applied a tourniquet to her injured leg. Grugan was remanded into custody.
A former Kilkenny hurler has been jailed for 5.5 years for defrauding people by falsely claiming that he had cancer and needed money for treatment. Dublin Criminal Court heard that DJ Carey defrauded 22 people out of a total of almost £350,000. His victims included his family, his friends and Kilkenny supporters.
Time now to look at the headlines making tonight's ITV News at 6:30.
Here's Gamal Fanbula.
A man appears in court charged with attempted murder on both a high-speed train and at a London station earlier the same day. More details emerge of the stabbing spree on Saturday night, while praise mounts for the rail worker who saved passengers. We speak to the sole survivor of the Air India plane crash on his miraculous escape and the tragic loss of his brother.
It's completely different after this tragedy, like physically, mentally.
And the new look Paddington revealed as the curtains open on the musical. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
And now with news of a big win for one of our local golfers.
Here's Ruth Gorman with all of the sport.
The game is heating up. John Mulholland Motors, sponsors of UTV Sport.
Good evening. Tom McKibben will play in his first ever Masters next year after qualifying through winning the Hong Kong Open. McKibben has also qualified for the Open in what will be an exciting major season for the Newton Abbey golfer. He finished 27 under par in Hong Kong, winning by 7 shots.
Blistering form.
I tell you what, Tom McKibben is winning more fans with every shot he hits.
A beaming smile, a brilliant victory. Tom McKibben was on a record-breaking run on his way to winning the Hong Kong Open. He led from start to finish, beginning with a course record last Thursday of 60. An overall score of 27 under set a new tournament record by 5 shots.
Yeah, it was obviously amazing. I played some of the best golf I've probably ever played. So yeah, to have that sort of golf and to shoot those scores around here is it's pretty special. I mean, with a tournament with so much history behind it, and you know, great players that have won this tournament, to have the scoring record is pretty special, and something I'll definitely that'll live with me forever.
His 7-shot win booked his ticket to the Open at Royal Birkdale next year, and even more special, a ticket to next year's Masters.
Yeah, very excited. You know, to go back and play my 3rd Open will be very, very cool, and as you say, have that drive down Magnolia Lane for the first time ever will be even more special. You know, I think sort of historic tournaments like this deserve those spots, and yeah, it's great to sort of take advantage of those.
We've been raving about Tom McKibben's talent for years here, but the golfing world is starting to see just how special he is. At 22 years old, McKibben is one of golf's most promising rising stars.
Huge congratulations to Tom. Now, the Irish rugby team returned home from Chicago this morning following their 26-13 loss to New Zealand. Ulster's Stuart McCluskey is a doubt for this weekend's game against Japan in Dublin. He came off with a groin injury in the second half, but received praise from head coach Andy Farrell for his contribution at Soldier Field in his first start against the All Blacks. The 33-year-old will be monitored, and a decision on his availability will be made later this week. In Gaelic Games, the Ulster Club Championship got underway at the weekend. Derry champions Newbridge got the better of Antrim champions Dunloy on Saturday to set up a quarter-final clash with Armagh champions Madden. Daniel Duffy was at Owen Begg for us.
The Ulster Club Championship is all about fine margins. Newbridge almost grabbed an early goal, but Chris McMahon had other ideas with this sensational save. The Derry champions, though, found their groove, picking off scores and found themselves 2 points ahead. Dunloy won the Antrim Football Championship for the first time in 89 years last month, and they showed their class with 2 exceptional 2-pointers to ensure they would lead by 2 at half-time. Newbridge, though, came out a different side in the second half, Oisin Docherty finding Callum McGrogan, who found the net. There was no stopping the Derry champions from there. An incredible season continues for the club in its centenary year.
Definitely delighted just to be in the next round and get a crack at it again next week. Well, we're not getting carried away, but we have to realise how big a win this is for this club. Not so much the players, but for this club to win an Ulster Championship match is massive. But look, we'll hopefully get to next week and it'll work out all right as well.
So Dunloy's season comes to an end, but a season that they will look back on with great affection. As for Newbridge, they will face the Armagh champions Madden in the last 8 of the Ulster Club Championship next weekend. Daniel Duffy, UTV Live at Owenbeg in Dungiven.
Martin O'Neill may only be back in the Celtic dugout less than a week, but he's already through to a cup final. He guided his side to a 3-1 victory over Rangers in the Scottish League Cup yesterday and admits he'd like to extend his temporary appointment to take charge for the showpiece against St Mirren next month.
I've always said this year, but privilege to manage Celtic. First time round, that you'll have 2 games here. If you'd asked me last Sunday, I'd be watching this game on television. So from that viewpoint, it's enormous to be back down in just in amongst it and being there again. It definitely did bring me back. I keep saying it didn't, but it really did bring me back. And for us to win against Rangers was terrific. And we're in a final. That will not be easy, but it doesn't really matter. And if I genuinely tell you, I didn't even know the final was in December time. So I can't look any further. But it was great. The crowd were fantastic, and I appreciate it. And I genuine warm for it all.
Martin O'Neill there, as passionate as ever in the Celtic dugout. Now Coleraine remain 3 points clear at the top of the Niffle Irish Premiership after Joel Cooper hit a hat-trick in their 5-1 win over Glenavon on Saturday. Glentoran are their nearest challengers after a 2-1 victory over Portadown. Yesterday, Linfield boss David Healy described his side as rubbish as they could only muster a 0-0 draw at Cliftonville. And Derry City secured second place in the League of Ireland with a 1-0 win at Cork City on the final day of the season. Michael Duffy got the goal for Tiernan Lynch's side, who were unbeaten in their last 10 league games. The Ulster Grand Prix could return in 2027 thanks to new funding from Stormont. The race on the roads of Dundrod hasn't taken place since 2019 due to the pandemic and financial issues. The Communities Minister Gordon Lyons has allocated £400,000 this year for road racing in Ulster. Ice hockey next. It was a mixed weekend for the Belfast Giants. Following a 2-1 win in Nottingham against the Panthers on Friday, they slipped to a 4-1 defeat at the Sheffield Steelers on Saturday.
Second period, I thought Sheffield was just better than us. Competed a little harder, unfortunately. Obviously, they built a lead there. Third period, I liked our start. Came out, again, right now, our execution is just very poor. I thought that the guys were trying, were working, we created enough looks. It's not going in the back of the net for us right now.
That's all your sport this Monday. Bye for now.
The game is heating up. John Mulholland Motors, sponsors of UTV Sport.
Film superstar Lucy Liu was in Belfast at the weekend to receive an award at the Belfast Film Festival.
She received the Rialta Award, which means star in Irish, at a ceremony yesterday. She was also promoting her new movie, Rosemead, which she starred in and co-produced.
UTV Life reporter Rita Fitzgerald caught up with her.
This is the 25th festival, so it's beautifully fitting that you're here.
Such a major thing,
yeah,
25 years.
25 years. And you received the Rialta Award, which is a wonderful award because it's for filmmakers or actors like yourself who use their craft for the greater good, as they say. So it's a beautiful award. I'm sure you were pleased to receive it.
I'm so honored to receive the award. It was really stunning. I mean, we've taken our movie to different festivals, and so to be recognized with the award also is really touching. And I don't know, it makes you also reflect. It makes me reflect on my career to look back on it, because sometimes when you're working and you're moving forward, you're not thinking about what you've done before.
Yeah.
And so it's a nice reflection and it makes you kind of stop. And it's a nice moment to be here to do that.
And you can see that interview in full on this week's UTV Live on Friday night.
Now, it's been warm, but a bit dull and wet today.
Here's Aisling with the weather forecast.
It's time to take a rain check. There's no place like home. UTV Weather, sponsored by the Grande Rona R290 heat pump.
Hello, good evening to everyone at home. Well, it's been mild and cloudy today, and this is the pressure pattern set up for the next few days. Low pressure always close by, but if we trace these isobars back, going all the way back into the mid-Atlantic, so we're going to continue to have a fairly mild week of weather by day and overnight as well, so certainly remaining frost-free. There's still some rain out there at the moment. It's also quite windy as well, and it'll stay that way through the rest of tonight, eventually turning dry. By tomorrow morning then, most of us waking up to clear skies. Temperatures though only dropping back to 10 or 11 degrees Celsius. Now there's a slight caveat to that. Down to the southeast across parts of Down, maybe southern parts of Antrim into parts of Armagh. Some showers here first thing in the morning, and that's where you're most likely to catch the showers throughout Tuesday. The further west you go, the drier it is, with some bright and sunny spells around. Another fairly blustery day of weather to come as well. And then into the afternoon, temperatures well above average for the time of year, highs of around 15 degrees Celsius. Normally we'd expect temperatures to be around 10 or possibly 11 degrees. Now across the rest of Ireland, lots of dry weather here. A few showers to the far northwest and also down to the southeast as well. A lot of lingering clouds, some very warm and humid air here. Potentially poor driving conditions out and about in the roads, but mild temperatures around 15 degrees Celsius. Then as we head through the rest of the week, day on day, generally speaking, there's a fair amount of cloud around. The cloud always thick enough to produce a little bit of patchy light rain and drizzle. It's also going to stay quite mild as well during the day and certainly remaining frost-free through the rest of the week. Take care. Bye-bye.
UTV Weather, sponsored by the Grande Rona R290 heat pump.
And that's the latest news, sport and weather this Monday the 3rd of November. Aidan Brown will have the next local bulletin at 10:30.
The ITV News continues now with Gamal Fanbula. From Rose, from me and the rest of the team, good evening.
Good evening.